no intimacy before marriage rule, my fiance said he'll just hire someone instead.
Yeah, you ever heard of Fiverr?
Hire for what? I, female 26, have been engaged to my fiance, Jack, male 28, for a little less than a year now, and we've been dating for about 3. We met my first year in law school, his second year, and we started dating a month later. By the way, this comes from Big Huckleberry 8072, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, when we got engaged, we both agreed that we wanted to wait until we had both graduated, passed the bar exam, and gotten stable jobs before we got married. That way, we'd be in relatively stable position and have time to save up for the wedding. I was perfectly on board with this plan, and I thought Jack was too. On to the crux of the issue, spicy sleep. I've always intended to wait until I get married to have spicy sleep, for a mixture of religious and personal reasons. I have always been clear about that in my romantic life, usually bringing it up on the first or second date, and it has cost me a handful of dates and a previous relationship when the guy I was with realized I was being serious. Maybe believe women when they say they want something.
Now, my baseline is everyone's joking.
I was honestly worried that Jack wouldn't want to continue dating me after I told him about my stances on spicy sleep. But to my relief and surprise, he said he was fine with it. And over the last 3 years, he has continued to tell me that he's fine waiting for me. That all changed this morning. And again, they've been engaged for about a year. Just wait it out, dude. You're almost there.
You're basically like, you're like 5 credits away from getting your master's degree, and you're like, I think I'm over it.
Can't do it. We met up for breakfast at his apartment before he went to work to discuss future plans a bit more. Jack graduated from law school last year and passed the bar exam last summer. He's working as a legal assistant at a smaller firm and is trying to work his way up the ladder. I just graduated and got my JD this May and am studying for the bar exam coming up in late July. God, I remember being so happy, being so excited that as soon as I managed to pass the bar exam and get my license, we can finally set a date for our wedding next year. I was just talking about wanting a summer wedding when Jack stopped me and dropped a bombshell. He's not happy. He's not fine. He thought he could wait for me, but the prospect of having to wait an entire year for our wedding is too much for him. That's bonkers. Dude, you need help.
I mean, you've been
You can't
waiting
wait
this
a
long,
year?
dude.
You've been waiting 3 years and you can't wait a year? Come on.
Like, just don't be okay with that if you're not okay with that.
Yeah, just from the get-go, dude. That the corn he's been watching, which I've been letting him watch because I knew he needed something before we got married, has just been making him more spicily frustrated. He said he can't do this anymore and laid out 3 options. 1, we move the wedding forward to this winter at the latest. That would mean having a smaller wedding and not being able to book my dream venue, as it needs to be booked at least 9 months in advance. 2, we start sleeping together now. F everything that I've been saying for the past 3 years.
I read that just in a baby voice. 2, we start sleeping together now. Right now.
3, he gets the spicy sleep from somewhere else. Oh, don't worry, dude. We're not going to have the wedding. You can definitely go have spicy sleep with someone else. Because we're not getting married.
You're not a fan of hardworking professionals?
What? Oh, I see. I understand. Yeah, you want to give people jobs?
It's only the oldest profession.
It's true. He promised that if I pick this option, that it'll be meaningless. Said he'll hire a spicy sleep worker or find a random hookup on Tinder or something. Said that if he hired someone, he'd pay for it from his own savings.
Oh, what a
He's like, don't worry, babe. You don't have to pay for me.
They say chivalry is dead, guys.
This guy.
That's crazy. I also think it's kind of wild that he thinks that, like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I'll have to pay for it. Like, I won't be able to find anyone. So I'll just have to pay for it. Savings that are supposed to go to our wedding and first house. This man actually wants to pay for a spicy sleep worker with the money saved for our wedding.
Well, I mean, it shouldn't make that big of a dent.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, he can't even find someone.
Are we like...
He's like, I have to pay for a spicy sleep worker.
Maybe he thinks that would be the most morally acceptable way. He's like, I literally paid.
Yeah. The entire conversation was a blur. I don't even think I said anything or did anything other than nod or shake my head and try not to throw up as this man broke my entire world. I don't even think he noticed. He just rushed out the door to go to work, telling me to take my time and that he won't push me to make a decision right away. And now I'm back in my apartment, staring at a lunch I can't bring myself to touch. trying to figure out what the heck I'm gonna do. Part of me wants to break up, but at the same time, I love this man dearly, and I honestly thought that this was the man I wanted to marry and spend the rest of my life with. But I'm not going to go along with any of the options he gave me, and I'm not sure if our relationship will survive that. I'm not setting a date for the wedding until I at least pass my bar exam, and while I'm fairly confident I'll pass the one coming up in July, if I fail, I won't get to try again until next year. And as much as I love Jack, I'm not sleeping with him until we're married. I've held on to these beliefs and convictions for 26 years. I'm not dropping them now. And there is no way in heck I'm going to let this man hire a spicy sleep worker or hook up with some random woman. I have too much self-respect to let him do this. Just 2 weeks ago, I had dinner with my father and asked him to walk me down the aisle. That's all I can say.
Dude, press F on your keyboard right now for respects.
So Reddit, am I overreacting for thinking about breaking up with my fiance? And there are some edits, but
no, you're not. No, you're not, because that's crazy.
No, your partner came to you after 3 years, you being very upfront about what you wanted, and then 3 years later, after doing it, after like not sleeping with you and respecting, quote unquote, your decisions, comes to you a year before your wedding and says, I can't do it anymore. What do you mean you can't do it anymore? You're a big boy.
I mean, you did it for, I assume, a long
3
years.
years. You did it for 3 years. Unless
before you'd ever done it.
Yeah.
Right? So
I really don't understand this logic. People do this all the time. Yeah, no, you are not at all the a-hole for wanting to break up with your fiance. Edit. I realized that the way I wrote this post made it seem like the only reason I'm not willing to move the wedding forward is because I want to get married at my dream venue. That is not how it seemed at all.
No, 0%.
It's not that. I would get married to Jack in a shed if it meant being married to the man I love. It's more about how he wants to take years of planning and arrangements and throw it all out the window, and sprung that fact on me with no warning. As for the part about porn, I see that I phrased that badly as well. I know some couples that consider watching porn to be cheating or just bad for the relationship, but Jack and I agreed early on that it's fine. He watches porn semi-regularly, and I've never minded it, although it's not for me. Edit 2, I've cooled down enough to text Jack, and we have agreed to meet for dinner tomorrow night to properly talk about our relationship. I love my fiance, and I want this to work, and I'm hoping that we can figure out where to go from here. Thank you all for your advice. And there is an update, folks.
Boy, oh boy,
What?
should you just maybe calmly sit down with this man and explain why you're going to leave?
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, he's gone full...
I can't wait for
the
him.
principle.
I can't wait for him. Like, I waited for nothing.
Right, and that's the principle where it's like,
And I'm
then
like,
this
oh.
is all wrong. You're like...
That's the thing. He's not, like, the fact that he's not even, it's not like, oh, I'm so lucky I get to be in a relationship with you. We're about to get married. It's,
Right.
we're about to get married so I can sleep with you.
It's just a finish line.
Yeah,
And then once you
which is
pass the finish
gross.
line, the race is over. So you're just going to be married to a guy who's like, yeah, no, whatever.
Finally got what
where's
I
the next
wanted.
race? Yeah.
It's like, no, what you want should be this relationship, not spicy sleep. And if that is something that you want in your relationship immediately, then that's okay, but be upfront about it.
Yeah. If
Before-
someone,
yeah.
Yeah. If someone tells you this, don't say you're okay with it if you're not.
Yeah.
Don't be like, oh, you want to wait? Well, it's not how I operate.
Literally.
How long are we waiting? How long are we talking?
While some of you may not be happy to hear this, I'm not breaking up with Jack.
What? Come on.
My fiance and I met for dinner last night and had a very long conversation about our relationship and what our future looks like going forward. I think we talked for almost 3 hours, and it was definitely the most honest we have been in our entire relationship, for better and for worse. The first thing Jack did was apologize and try to explain himself. Apparently his frustration with the lack of an intimacy in our relationship started late last year, but didn't get particularly bad until the spring and summer, especially after I graduated. He said that while he thought he could handle it when we met up on Friday, and I was talking about setting dates and wanting a summer wedding for next year, it hit him that he couldn't deal with a spiceless relationship for another year, and everything came spilling out. That he'd panicked and just thrown out whatever came to mind and then ran off because he needed time to think and figure things out. And that he'd only realized how bad things had sounded when he'd gotten to work and he had no idea what to do then.
No, I see that. That's real. I could see that happening where he's like, yeah, no, whatever. Just, take some time to think about it. It's fine. And then he gets to work. He's like, did I just implode my entire life? Wait a minute. How am I supposed to work today? I have to go home now. Wait. Oh, God.
Yeah, this man is stupid. Yikes. He seemed to accept my apology. Why did you apologize? But I know we still have a long way to go in that regard. What?
Why did you apologize? What did she do? Why did you apologize? Why did she apologize?
I also admitted that while I was hurt by some of the suggestions he had thrown out, the ones where he was going to sleep with other people, I was more hurt by the fact that he hadn't talked to me about this sooner. I'm well aware that I probably should have realized that something was wrong sooner. You're not a mind reader. But we've gone over the same plans dozens of times, and not once has he ever said anything. In fact, waiting to start planning the wedding until we both passed the bar exam was his idea. I've lost count of how many times I've asked Jack if he's sure he's all right with not having intimacy past hand stuff and occasionally watching porn together, and he always brushed it off and insisted it was fine. He actually teared up at the end and apologized again, admitting that he hadn't known how to bring it up, that he had thought he could handle it, especially in the beginning, but the unhappiness and frustration had slowly crept up until it suddenly hit him that he couldn't do this anymore, and that he didn't know how to say anything because I had laid out my intentions of remaining celibate until marriage from the very start of our relationship, and he had repeatedly said he was all right with that until he wasn't. I apologized for making Jack feel like he couldn't bring it up to me and reassured him that if he's unhappy, I want him to tell me. Stop apologizing.
You didn't do that, though.
He did that.
Yeah.
If there's anything that I've learned from this site, it's that resentment ends a relationship, and I don't want it to end ours too. And then I brought up his suggestion of having spicy sleep with a spicy sleep worker and point blank asked him where the heck that had come from. Every other suggestion he made I could understand, but not that one. At that point, he had basically buried his head in his arms, sticking half of his hair in his plate of spaghetti, might I add. God, I love this man even when he's being an idiot, which is all the time.
No, why? Don't do that. No. And his hair being in his spaghetti because he's distraught about wanting to hire a sex worker is not cute.
And admitted that that had been an act of utter stupidity on his part. Apparently, a few of his male friends, especially the younger ones, have been giving him crap recently about the lack of intimacy in our relationship, calling him a virgin and a duck. They were the ones who kept telling him to hire a spicy sleep worker or have a random hookup if I wouldn't put out. And when he panicked and spilled everything on Friday morning, that had come out as well. I just want to really quickly pause and say how disgusting it is that he not only listened to his friends, remained friends with them, but he also acted upon their words. Brought this up with you. That's not an act of stupidity. That's an act of cowardice. He promised that I was the only one he wants and that he didn't mean a single word of it and kept apologizing profusely. We agreed that while I forgave him, we'd need to talk about it more and that we also needed to have a long conversation about the company Jack keeps. Although he made it clear that he doesn't plan on hanging out with those friends anymore. Good. That's step number 1 is getting rid of all his friends. Anyways, enough rambling. We ultimately decided on a few things and a compromise. First of all, we're going to be doing couples counseling, and I've decided I need to see a therapist. This whole debacle has made us realize that we have a lot to work out and need to learn some better communication skills if we're going to make this work. I've also recognized that I've got some personal habits and traits that I need to break down and work on, and I'm hoping a therapist will help with that, and maybe catch some personal issues that I may not be able to recognize. Unfortunately, getting a couples counselor or a therapist is not nearly as easy as Reddit makes it out to be. And from the brief research I did last night and this morning, every place in the area either costs hundreds of dollars per hour-long session or is booked solid for weeks. But I don't plan on giving up searching anytime soon. I also took some of the suggestions y'all gave me, and after almost an hour of talking, we came up with a compromise. While we still want a proper wedding ceremony at some point, we decided that we legally will get married at the courthouse and then have a small ceremony and party at our local church with our closest family and friends. And then sometime next summer, we can have a proper ceremony to celebrate with all our friends and family. By the way, all your friends and family should listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Do you have any final thoughts?
I'm real mad.
Me
I'm real
too.
mad. The point I'm trying to make here is that not that his questions or his his suggestions would have been appropriate either way, but the fact that they were doing something a little spicy.
That's what I was going to say too.
And he's still like this.
He was getting freaking hand stuff happening and he's still like, you're not doing it. Like, what?
Come on, brother. Dude. Dude, like what?
That was going to point that out too. That's ridiculous.
Your logic's weird,
And
dude.
also, I just want to point out, he got his way.
He did.
He got his way. They're marrying early.
Yeah, I don't know. It's, I think, a little ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. There's a little bit left, though. Jack seemed genuinely happy with this plan. Yeah, because it's his plan.
Jack seemed genuinely happy
To have
when
gotten
the
his
plan
way.
he wanted to happen became the plan.
And looked incredibly relieved. And while we haven't set an exact date yet, we're hoping to get married sometime in September or October at the latest. I'm actually going to start working on the paperwork as soon as I finish this post, so that's where we are. I know this isn't the update everyone wanted, but at the end of the day, I love Jack more than anything, and we're both committed to putting in the work to keep this relationship together. And so that's what we're gonna do on his terms.
Hey, I mean,
You were so close.
Poor girl waited 4 years and is about to be so disappointed.
Yeah.
I had an affair with a married man, and I can't break it off.
Yes, you can.
Thanks, Obama.
Si se puede.
My ex's boss, let's call him Ryan, now age 46, and I, female 39, have known each other for well over a decade. From the very day we met, we clicked as friends and colleagues like nothing I've ever known. We just agreed on many levels on everything. We had very high mutual respect for each other's capabilities and opinions. Any meeting we had would descend into an extra hour of talking excitedly about everything and anything. By the way, this comes from user Hampshire Tea Party on the Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK storytime subreddit and submit it there. So, we were clearly attracted to each other, but we were also incredibly professional. He was married and I had a boyfriend, so we never acted on anything. The day he pulled me aside to excitedly tell me he was going to be a dad, I swore to myself I'd never try to ruin that for him. We continued to work really closely through business necessity for the following years with a lovely work friendship. We became a rather formidable team for change within the company. Almost every day, if we were both in the office, he would stop by my desk on his way to his on the opposite side of the building. We'd always smile, say hi, and chat. But other than that, nothing untoward ever happened. Girl, this is your work husband, which is crazy because this is also where your husband works. So, your husband, and your work husband work in the same place.
OP. I'm shaking my head at you.
He was my biggest career supporter and gave me so much respect and responsibility. He also supported me during my dad's long and emotional battle with cancer. We'd even exchange parenting tips. My daughter is just over a year younger than his. During the vid, I heard he and his wife had separated. I never asked about it, as I always tried to remain professional. I just knew he seemed sadder and more stressed than usual. Some others mentioned why, but it was never directly discussed between the two of us. 2 years ago, I left the company and moved to another job. We didn't speak for 6 months, and I realized I really missed being able to run ideas by him and get his view on things. We had been a supportive team, and I missed that terribly. Around the same time, a friend asked if she could add both of us to a group chat. She had gone on a walk with him and was worried because he seemed really down. The group chat included a lot of light conversations, but it became obvious he was deeply depressed. We occasionally continued talking outside of the group chat, mostly about music, which we both love, crazy, and other shared hobbies. We were always talking about gigs we wanted to attend, blah, 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 blah. Now, here's where I made a mistake. Your very first one. Everyone, including our mutual friend, believed he was sad over his separation. He never talked about his personal life, so no one really knew. One day, while we were chatting, he mentioned that he hadn't, quote, done the deed in over 18 months.
He has to hire a spicy sleepwalker
Yes.
or break up his marriage.
We thought he was upset about maybe all of his complex emotions and feelings about the separation from his wife, but it turns out he just needs pee-pee touch.
He just, no, boy, he needs to do the spicy stuff. And wow, he's telling his coworker that. You know what that means.
Yeah, coworker. So I went into pep talk mode. I was just starting to escape a harmful and controlling marriage and started joking about dating apps and how he'd do well on them. I added jokingly that I'd always had a crush on him, which is not a joke since that's real, but I meant for it to be lighthearted.
I added jokingly that I jokingly liked him jokingly, and it wasn't a joke.
There was silence, and then everything changed forever. To say a wall fell down would be an understatement. He told me he'd loved me from the moment we met, but assumed I didn't feel the same since I was always so professional and, in his words, way out of his league. We'd
And
spent
also
it.
married. You're both married.
Yeah, not to mention you both were in
committed
relationships, having
relationships.
children with other people.
In
Although OP
committed
did allude
relationship.
that their relationship was pretty bad. However,
Sucks. That's terrible.
we don't
It is
know about
terrible.
his.
We don't. Yeah, he was in a relationship.
Okay. We had spent a decade denying feelings, and he suddenly flooded my phone with declarations of affection and love. I let my own wall down. At that point, I thought we were both single and finally being honest with each other.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure you did a lot of research.
At that point, I thought we were both single and finally being honest with each other. AKA, I didn't even ask.
Didn't ask.
I just
once.
fully assumed
Didn't
and
ask
asked
once.
no question.
And also, is OP still in a relationship?
I don't think so, no.
Okay,
At this point, OP is out of theirs,
Yes.
which is why I think they're assuming they're both
Yeah.
single.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks later, he invited me over to watch a film and de-stress. My ex had been particularly difficult. We had been talking nonstop for 2 weeks, and he'd been so emotionally open. Before I left, he called and admitted his home situation was complicated. When he and his wife separated, their daughter, his world was devastated. So they decided to stay together in a spiceless, loveless marriage for her sake. Sounds like that's not going to backfire at all. His wife worked the night shift, was barely around when he went to sleep, and he believed she was having an affair. I don't know how to process it, given everything he'd said over the past 2 weeks. I still went over with the intention of just watching the film and letting him talk.
Yeah, because everyone comes over and watches a movie. When you have a movie day, you watch the movie.
Yeah. When I arrived, we hugged, and it lingered too long. I looked up unsure what to do, and he kissed me.
Oh, wow. You didn't even get to the movie.
It was like the world fell away. 10 years of emotion, respect, and care all came rushing out. I left later that evening, no spicy sleep, and agreed to go on a walk with him that week. A walk to remember. We talked. He was clear that he wouldn't leave his wife because of their daughter,
Wow.
but he wanted to keep... What?
Shock.
What?
He's not going to leave his wife for you?
But he didn't he already leave her?
No, he didn't.
It's like, yeah, see...
That's the thing.
So, but if you'd already left your wife, couldn't you just leave with me since you're not together? Oh.
Shock. Lying man lies.
Ah.
News.
Ah.
This just in.
But he wanted to keep seeing me in secret.
Oh my goodness.
I told him I didn't want to be his mistress, and then we kissed again and confused the lines. The next 6 months were messy. I was going through ADHD medication titration and had been put on meds that made my emotions and impulses extreme. I cycled through loving him, cutting him off, trying to burn bridges, then missing him like mad. That just sounds like you were in an affair, girl.
Sounds like you were in an affair.
Yeah, just that exactly what you just read is you just like someone,
You were in an affair.
but it's an affair.
That's just an affair.
Yeah. He quietly accepted all of it. He didn't want it to end. Meanwhile, I was still living with my controlling ex, Simon, because he was saving up to buy me out of our home. To escape the stress, Ryan and I went to gigs and festivals together, took weekend breaks, and had weekly pub catch-ups. He was my safe place. But he also continued to go on family holidays, separate beds,
So he says.
and attend social events with his wife and daughter. Gradually, he became more relaxed about being affectionate in public with me. We didn't even become physically intimate until many months after the first kiss. A lot of our time was just spent enjoying each other's company and conversation. Eventually, I got my medication under control, so we were deeply in love. But it still hurt being the mistress, seeing him only during office hours. I resented that he could do this to me and to his family. We started going through monthly breakups. See how you said, how could he do that?
this
And
to
then you said,
me?
we started. So that's
You're doing this. He's doing this to his family. You're doing this. You're part of this.
yeah.
Like, yeah, he's breaking his marriage vow. You're absolutely culpable for everything that's going on in this relationship.
That's true, sister.
Sorry.
We started going through monthly breakups, each one a plea from me to let this go. But he always talked me back into being friends. And once we met up again, all the love and emotion came flooding back. He called me his soulmate. He cried when we had to part after spending time together. We talked every single day, but still, nothing changed. He dangled promises, like, if you become more stable, I'll consider leaving my wife. But I was already stable. It wasn't about me anymore. Eventually, I convinced him to start therapy. I was already in it.
It's not going very well for you.
He's still going. Now it's been 18 months. Is he even going, though?
I don't think
Anyway, I've gone no contact for 3 days, my longest ever.
so. What? That's not even no
This whole
contact. That's a
story-
weekend.
This story is OP being like, I'm in an affair that I'm actively participating in.
Dude,
How do I stop?
that's like when I said I was vegetarian when I was 8 for 2 hours in a car ride, and then my mom gave me chicken noodle soup. That's not no contact. That's a weekend.
I've gone no contact for 3 days, my longest ever. We've broken up over 20 times. That's 20.
Ah.
This is OP. This
20.
is OP. Family run over. Family run over.
We're over.
Can you turn
It's
that
over.
on track?
She's
Family.
at the trolley problem
Yeah.
factory,
Yeah.
obliterating families of 5
Ah.
and the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what they say. The 21st time's the
charm.
you know,
I
the
guess.
chime. Yeah,
My
yeah,
goodness.
dude. That's ridiculous.
Wow.
So OP continues. Each time I beg him to let me go because he won't change his situation and I can't keep living like this.
But you do.
It's not fair to me, his wife, or his daughter.
Who you care so much about.
I tell him it hurts too much, but every time he begs me to stay friends. We always have upcoming plans we both look forward to. And then he tells me he's heartbroken at the thought of losing me. And I go, okay, and we get back together. He says he never knew what love was until he met me, that he wishes he wasn't so afraid of change, and then the cycle starts again. I cry. I hate it. I hate it.
I hate it.
But I can't stop
Yes, you can.
because he's the most important person in my life. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for not being able to end this cycle?
Say it with me, everyone.
Yes!
Wow, it's like a
Yeah.
little kids show. It's like,
Yeah!
Woo! Yeah!
We did
You
it.
suck!
Hey, kids. Who's the a-hole? OB.
Both of them.
It's
But
I mean, to be clear, it is
To be clear, it's both of them.
absolutely the guy that she's having an affair with too. But
Yeah.
like the question is she the a-hole? Yes.
You're both
Yes.
a-holes in this
Both the
situation.
a-hole. And
girl.
yeah, is he way more of an a-hole for cheating on his wife and, you know, ruining his relationship with his daughter and family? Yeah, absolutely. You are the a-hole because you're culpable in this.
It's just, you can't have the excuse of like, well, I tell him it needs to end and this
Yeah.
can't happen. But then he uses his vocabulary.
Oh, he uses his pretty words and I have to stay. Like, no, you don't.
And it
Own up
worked
to it. Own up
20
to it.
times in a row that worked on me.
Yeah, like come on.
20?
Come on.
If you have any real advice for how to break this cycle but somehow keep the friendship, I'm listening. Are you stupid? You can't. You can't do that. You have to drop the whole thing.
Oh, I didn't actually hear that. She wants to keep the friendship?
Yes, you can't do that, dummy. You can't.
No.
And by the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. All you got to do is take your pretty little thumbs and type OK Storytime, and there you will find the archive. It's extensive. Start listening. We have just a little bit of story left here. It looks to be ending with an edit. Let's finish this story. Walk away when you need to walk away, people. Edit. I never meant to come across as blameless. More that I need to hear the judgment to be able to focus on what you are all saying. So when he tries again, I say no and don't cave. This all started when I was incredibly vulnerable and trying to break out of an awful marriage situation and needed a savior. And when offered, I took it, which I know is wrong. But it was that, or I was liable to top myself. It had all become so bleak, and I was honestly in a very bad way. And now I'm stable enough. I know I need to end this cycle as history has repeated itself again.
I do just like last thing. I understand OP was in a very rough spot. Totally fair. You said it yourself here. You're not anymore. There's no excuses. There's no excuses now. You've run
Literally
out of
not.
excuses. You said, oh, I was in a really bad place. Oh, my medication was wrong. Now I'm medicated. Now I'm in a good space. You have no excuses left. Sorry. But folks, that's the end of that story.
That is the end of that story. And it's the end of this episode.
So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you and
And
see you tomorrow.